Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to webinarium, where we are going to introduce Q1 results from Port of Tallinn. My name is Valdo Kalm, and our CFO Andrus Ait will be also on a stage. Main events. What we had in Q1, we got again a contract for Botnica for this summer. Botnica is in good shape, in good condition, and preparing to go to leave to Canada. And at the same time, we also running negotiations for the next periods, and just to inform that demand is there from Canadian client. But yeah, first of all, let's make this summer happen. We also signed a compromise agreement with Tallinn in Q1. And we already covered this, and it's compromise what is so to say win-win with all parties. We had change in management board. Andrus Ait came as a board member and then CFO. Also, Andrus is now the member of supervisory board of the subsidiaries. Welcome, Andrus, again, and good luck for future.
Thank you.
There are some recognition for cruise terminal. Maybe one of the biggest was Grand Prix to the annual architecture award 2021. Cruise terminal also very active in off-season also. Now, of course, he started to serve cruising customers also, but cruise terminal is really fully booked, and the revenues coming from the events during the Q1 during the winter covering totally the cost. Therefore, this second plan B or business model works very well. Then we would like to notice that we signed a partnership on Baltic Sea green transport corridor between Tallinn, Gdynia, Rønne, and Rotterdam to establish green fuel, but also other on-source power supply possibilities for the ships. That means that in the future we will have really green corridor also for cargo ships. And we started such a first test with first building title agreement in Old City Harbour. That's Laeva 5, and that's really the model what we would like to establish here for real estate business, that we signing a long-term rental or title agreement, and then we call on the tenders the investors to build here houses, offices. In this case, Laeva 5 will be the restaurant building, and the investor will invest and build that. Therefore, it's really the test, and the first tender was very successful. Let's see how we will continue. Maybe just good news that we had quite recently a very important meeting with city government to move on with detailed planning esquisses to make them public. That's very important step how to really fix the detailed planning in 4 areas in Old City Harbour. Main trends in our businesses. Passenger business made a steep rise in terms of numbers and revenue. Of course, last year basis was very low, but honestly, it shows very good development. That's of course especially Tallinn Helsinki, but also we got increase from Stockholm, and it's good news that it continues even in April, and we really got from Q1 with this increase some 1 million to the EBITDA directly. Therefore, that's a good trend. On cargo side, despite of decline of volumes, we had stable revenue, even small increase, and this volume went down from liquid bulk and from fertilizers, but we had good growth from ro-ro and containers, and first time ro-ro catched liquid bulk volumes. That means there is some structural change also in revenues and in EBITDA. On ferry business, just comment on cargo side that in March we had sanctions on Belarus liquid bulk and then fertilizer terminal in Muuga. That of course continues, and now we waiting more concrete sanctions on liquid bulk. There are no concrete sanctions yet, but they will come over the year. It's not clear. But as we heard from EU, then definitely there will be up to October some sanctions on liquid bulk. Now moving on with ferry business, we also had revenue growth coming mainly from indexation and additional trips. And Botnica made very stable Q1 with stable revenue and then profits. All in all, we called Q1 quite successful because in all the segments we had the increase of revenues. But we will come back to that later on. Here are the volumes. We basically covered that, plus 500,000 passengers. Cargo, I already mentioned that -8%, but some structural changes on revenue side. Here you see shipping volumes on our TS Laevad, more passengers, more vehicles, and on revenue side indexation, and Botnica made very stable period. Then again, we have to still talk about the factors in our strange time or crisis time. We see recovery from COVID-19, but still impact from passenger businesses is there. Hopefully we will see quite a good spring and summer. It's very difficult to say what will happening in autumn, but at least as I already mentioned, in April the trend continues. There are more and more tourists, and also cruising season opened quite successfully, and we already had a couple of huge cruisers in our port. Sanctions against Russia and Belarus. Also, I mentioned that with Belarus, they are already effective. on Russian ships' flags, they are active. We follow these sanctions definitely, but bigger impact will be, I guess, in a coming period from liquid bulk, but that's not clear when exactly. Total impact is clear. We calculated in the beginning of the year already that maximum defect or impact is about 6 million in terms of revenues and a little bit less than in EBITDA. Of course, energy prices and climate change is ongoing trends. We were working on that also. We are very active on green agenda, how to say, and use this turnaround for our business also. And of course, on energy side, we were working with hybrid solutions on our shipping company. Plus, we would like to use this momentum and move into wind energy business. But that's totally different story, and we will discuss it later on. All right, then please, Margus, Andrus, floor is yours. Sorry.
Thank you, Valdo. Good morning from my side as well. As we look at the financial results, we see that we were able to increase the revenue, just EBITDA and profit. And taking into account all the circumstances, it is quite a good result from our point of view. The revenue increased by 7.1%, which is almost 1.8 million euros. And this was mainly driven by a higher number of passengers. But it's also important to mention that we managed to increase the revenue in all our segments and also almost in all our revenue streams. Only exception was vessel dues due to the lower cargo volumes. Adjusted EBIT has increased by 3.5%, which is almost 500,000 euros. The revenue increased more than the costs, but we also had a good result in our joint venture company or associate company Green Marine, which is handling waste management services, and therefore also this had also a positive impact to adjusted EBITDA. Adjusted EBITDA lowered a bit from 52% to 50%. Operating profit remained at the same level as in the first quarter 2021. We didn't have any income tax because we didn't pay out any dividends in the first quarter. The dividend payment will be made on the 12th of May. This is day after tomorrow, and this is similar to the last year, and we will report income tax on the second quarter. Profit for the period increased by 5%, or 300,000, more than 300,000 euros, and it was more positive than the operating profit change because of lower income interest costs due to the lower debt level. On the bottom line, we see investments. We had increased investments by almost 30%. which is more than 1 million euros. In the first quarter in 2021, we had relatively low investment level, and this year we invested mainly in Old City Harbour, where we reconstructed the surrounding area of passenger terminal D. We also improved the vessel service equipment, and in Muuga Harbour we improved the cargo and ro-ro service capacity. By segment wise, as I already mentioned, we see increase in all our increase of revenue in all our segments. The highest increase was in passenger segment, and as I mentioned, it was driven by higher number of passengers. In cargo segment, we also increased the revenue by 100,000 euros. Despite of the drop in cargo volumes, we were able to increase the revenue. And to explain that, the cargo charges for liquid bulk and for dry bulk are lower than cargo charges of ro-ro and containers, and therefore we managed to even increase the revenue despite of the drop in cargo volumes. In the ferry segment, as Valdo already mentioned, the revenue increased, and this was mainly due to the indexation, and also our partner transportation administration ordered more trips, and therefore also the revenue increased. In the segment other, which contains the operations of icebreaker Botnica, we also see a slight increase compared to the first quarter last year in revenue, and this was caused mainly by indexation. When we look at the EBITDA figures, we see that EBITDA has increased in passenger harbour segment, and in the ferry segment remain at the same level in the segment other, and decreased in the cargo harbour segment. In the cargo harbour segment, the costs was impacted by higher energy prices, and we also made a bit more repair works in this segment, and therefore the EBITDA has decreased. In the ferry segment, the increase in EBITDA is impacted by mainly two factors. First is that we made more trips, and we had this indexation in dues, but in last year, in the first quarter, the weather conditions were also a bit tougher. There was more ice in the sea, and therefore also fuel costs per trip were higher than in this year. And in the segment other, as I mentioned, the EBITDA remained at the same level. Here we also made a bit more repair works, and when we take this out, the EBITDA would be also 100,000 euros positive than in this picture. Moving on with cash flow and financial position, we don't see any significant change here on cash flow statement. The cash from operating activities has a bit decreased as cash receipts from sale of goods and and services has increased a bit less than payments to suppliers, but this change is very little. Cash used in investing activities reflects the higher investment level and has therefore increased by negative cash flow has increased by almost 600,000 euros. Free cash flow was 9.5 million euros, which is 700,000 euros less than in the first quarter last year, but it mainly reflects the impact of investments. Cash used in financing activities has a bit decreased due to the lower debt level, and therefore we paid less interest costs. And net cash flow was in the first quarter 6.2 million euros compared to the 6.7 million last years, and the decrease reflects mainly this impact from investing activities. Net debt at the end of the period has decreased by 15.8 million euros due to the loan repayments, reimbursement of bonds, and also we had more cash in our bank accounts. On financial position, here we also don't see any significant change compared to the year-end period. The cash on accounts in banks has a bit increased, and at the same time the debt level has decreased. But with that, we will conclude our presentation. We have also some extra slides here about revenue generation and EBITDA generation by segment wise, but this you can browse later if you have any interest about more detailed information. And now we will make a short break. You can send us questions by typing them in. On the right-hand side, you can see the question mark. By pushing there, you can send us questions, and we will back in a few minutes to answer your questions.
Thank you for questions. I will repeat them and then we will start answering. First one, I understand correctly that currently the port is still handling Russian oil or liquid bulk, just not serving Russian vessels. And what would be the decline in annual volumes if total cargo will disappear? Yes, the first answer is yes. And we really don't serve Russian vessel or owned or under the Russian flag, but Russian liquid bulk is still there. And if that will disappear, then we're talking about 6 million tons, what is in correlation with 6 million euros. That's totally, if all the Russian transit or transit cargo will disappear.
We have also a question about investments. Is the investment level seen in the quarter representative for the remaining quarters of the year? The answer is, thank you for the question. The answer is the ongoing or next quarters, the investment level should be on the same level as it was on the first quarter. Maybe we see a little or slight decline in the last quarter because main investment projects has related to Terminal D surrounding area project, which should be completed by the end of August or in the middle of September. So the total investment level should be somewhere between 12 to 15 million euros.
Next question, is the mentioned 6 million euros possible negative impact of cargo revenues from sanctions for this year? What would be the full year impact in case of trade embargo with Russia and Belarus in 2023? Yes, the first answer is yes, that's the 6 million again, possible negative impact. Just explain that when we made the prognosis, then we already had significantly lower numbers on fertilizers. Therefore, we still consider that this 6 million will cover all the sanctions. If we talk about 2023, then it's really difficult to say. First of all, we don't know yet the impact for this year. It depends on concrete decisions from EU, and we follow very carefully these rules. And we already see that there are possibilities for new cargos, especially, for example, on fertilizers. If our terminal is under the sanction, then of course on a market there is a need for fertilizers, and that means that our other operators have the capabilities to serve also fertilizers. They have done it before, and for example in Muuga we have 3 dry bulk operators. Therefore, honestly, it's really difficult to describe what will happen next year, because there are also possibilities for new cargo.
Okay, we have also one question about cruise ships. What is the current outlook of the cruise ship visit of the year? Are Ukrainian war cost worries still prevailing, or some operators are returning?
Yeah, okay. Andrus, you can start, and then I can add. If
we see that we have estimatedly 170 cruise ship visit for this year, and some of the ships are already here. Definitely, there is impact from the war because the number of tourists on the ships has decreased per ship, but there hasn't been any significant change in the last weeks. So we are positive. We are positive and hope that this number of cruise ship visits will be here during the summer period.
Yeah, just comment that in a beginning of the year we thought that maybe biggest risk comes from America or from American tourists and American cruising companies, but now last week we had first American companies huge cruise ship here. That's a positive sign that America is still with us on this business. Therefore, if we will fulfill this number what Andrus described, 170, then it's a very good result. Next question. Do I understand correctly if there are no major objections from the public to the detailed plan, the tender for real estate developer could be launched this year? Thank you for the question. Let's put it so that that's maybe too optimistic. What I said that we started with one plot because we already separated this plot before. We had a detailed plan and permission to build a little bit earlier. If we talk about bigger plots, then this year what will happen? That's the public such a discussion or opening for the discussion the detailed plans. That's the very important step for the fixing the detailed planning, but that doesn't happen yet. That's not happening this year yet. Therefore, this year we don't have any tenders more. First of all, we have to fix the detailed plans for the area. All right, then thank you for the questions. Thank you for listening us and trust us, and all the best.
All the best. Goodbye.